I care about my students. My students know that I'm there for them. And I pay for my own cell phone for my students to be able to communicate with me. And I've had students call me about personal issues.
You're a friend and a teacher, sounds like.
Absolutely.
That's impressive. You're changing lives every single year, aren't you?
I am.
Really giving back.
And I finally figured out what
This is your calling.
It absolutely does.
Well, good morning. My name is Cindy Barlow. I'm Director of Industry Relations for wyotech. I've been here about 6.5 years and having a great time. So welcome to wyotech.
Thank you. My name is Lon Phillips, and I am Program Director at Lanier Technical College in just north of Atlanta, Georgia. Been there for 6 years now. Started it from scratch.
Very cool. Well, tell us a little bit more about you, Lon. Where are you at in the trades and a little bit about your job and what you're doing right now at Lanier?
So after graduating in December of 83, I went back home for a brief period and played hockey. I played hockey for a long time, and then went to Georgia on a job interview. And that's how my path started down in Georgia. Worked for a construction company. We had a fleet of 60 dump trucks and heavy equipment. And that's where my path started. Through the years, I stayed there for a few years and then went on to the drivetrain side and spent 10 years there. And we were building manual transmissions, torque converters, industrial automatics, transfer cases, differentials, and axles. And did a 2-year stint with Snap-on Tools as a Snap-on Tool franchisee. And then went to work for Kawasaki Heavy Industries, which was based out of Atlanta. It was from Japan. They had Kawasaki wheel loaders. Started there as just a regular tech. And then a year and a half later, I was promoted to lead tech. And then about 6 years later, I ran the rebuild facility for all of North America and part of South America.
Wow.
And then after that, they merged with Hitachi. And then I went to work for Lanier Tech. They were trying to find somebody to start a diesel program, and they looked for several years. And I just happened to run across the ad looking at a different position at Lanier Tech and saw that they had a diesel. They were looking for a diesel program, and I applied for it. And been doing that. Was in 2019. I got hired May 20th, 2019. And had absolutely nothing, just had an empty facility. And I just took off from there, did it by myself for almost 6 years.
Wow.
So.
And how many kids do you have today?
Right now, I've got close to 100 students right now.
That's impressive. So when did you graduate wyotech? And what brought you here?
So my father was an auto mechanic, and during my high school, sophomore year, we could start autos. And so I started automotive in high school. And I worked at a gas station. It was a full service gas station back then.
Back in the day when you
pumped the gas.
Washed the windshields.
Yep. So they had a Volkswagen there, a diesel, and they couldn't get it running. And the owner of the gas station was friends with my father, and he would lean on my dad whenever they had a problem. My dad didn't know anything about diesel. So it didn't consciously spark me into the diesel side, but it must have, So I was in auto class. I wish I could remember the name of the recruiter, but I can't remember his name. He came into the autos class in my high school, and he started talking about the different programs there, and they had diesel, and it just kind of clicked. And then my senior year, we had to do a paper on a profession, and I did one on diesel engineers. So I did a research paper on that for my work study. And
the rest is history.
The rest is history. So when I graduated, 2 weeks after graduation, I came here back then it was 6 months, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. So I did my tenure there in 1982 and graduated December 23rd, 1982.
That's impressive. It's really changed your world then, hasn't it?
Absolutely. I've been in the industry. I stayed in the industry the whole time. So outside of the tool, but it's still part of the industry.
Right. What do you like most about being in the industry, and what do you feel you make the biggest impact in?
So the biggest impact I make today is I get the opportunity to mentor young people and teach them a trade that pays extremely well, which I've always felt we needed to be paid a lot more than what we do or what we were getting paid. I've got students making more than I did as long into my career.
Yeah.
So, but mentoring, it's definitely a blessing for me. I get the opportunity to work with, all different walks in life. And, I get to see the ones that have had, some trouble at home. And I can usually recognize that pretty quickly. And it gives me the opportunity to mentor them.
That's special. Let me back up just a little bit. At Lanyard in 2019, you started a diesel program. You said that was just empty. Tell me a little bit more about that and how hard was it? How many kids did you have when it first started? And tell me about what it looks like today.
So when I took and interviewed for it, part of the interview process is you have to teach something on the profession. So I went and bought a model and I did my presentation in front of 4 people, and it was a VP of Academic Affairs and a couple of other program directors and a dean. So after that, I interviewed against somebody else. There was another candidate, and when I got selected to take the role, I just it's hard to say. I'm a task-oriented person, so I knew I had a lot ahead of me, but I didn't allow that to fog my mind. So the lab was totally empty. There was nothing. They had nothing except one donation from MHC Kenworth. Wow. And they donated an MX-13 PACCAR engine. And that was before they hired me. And so what I did is we've got 16 different diesel programs in the state of Georgia through the Technical College System of Georgia, referenced as TCSG. So my mind was, okay, well, I'm in this role. And I asked, what should I teach? They told me whatever I want. So I was like a blind dog in a meat house, right? So I reached out to a couple other program directors at the other colleges and introduced myself and asked if I could come visit and talk to them. So I went to several other of the colleges and saw what they were doing. And the building that I'm in is a brand new $153 million building, campus. And I went to the other campuses and it was like, wow, this is what I have here is totally different than what everybody else has. So I just took notes and feedback on, what they did and what they wish they would have done differently. Brent Renford, he was a good mentor for me and gave me some guidance a little bit on, how to get this thing going. Never taught in the education side. So there was a learning curve with the LMSs, and when you work in the public sector, it's a little bit different than the private sector. So I was pretty much on my own and just started partnering up with, the different dealerships, and both in the heavy equipment and light duty equipment, as well as the trucking world. And I had a choice of trucking, transportation, refrigeration, marine, diesel, or road tractors, Class 8 trucks. So we have a lot of manufacturing there, so the Class 8 truck was the way to go. So started with that, and just partnered up.
How many kids did you start with?
My first class was in August of 2019. I had 7.
And at COVID, of all times, you're starting up a program during COVID.
Right. COVID hit in March. We were actually down at Skills USA. We were just getting ready to compete, and they shut everything down.
And you have an impressive record with Skills USA with your students.
We've been very successful in skills. We've competed 5 years now.
Yep.
And in the 5 years, I've had 10 students compete. We are state champion 4 out of the last 5 years, and we finished second in all 5 years. So 10 students, we've got 9. Between the gold and silver medals, we've got 9. And the nationals, the highest we've been so far is 6th, and 6th through 16th, the 3 that competed. We're getting ready to compete in a couple of weeks.
That's impressive.
In Atlanta at the World Congress Center. And this year I took 3 young ladies, and they finished 1st, 2nd, and 4th.
That's great.
So pretty
and now
exciting.
you're up to 100 kids.
Correct.
That's just impressive in just such a short amount of time.
I've got the highest graduation rate in the college at 83%.
Very good.
Institutional effectiveness wanted to know how I'm graduating so many. So I just shared with them, I care about my students. My students know that I'm there for them. And I pay for my own cell phone for my students to be able to communicate with me. And I've had students call me about personal issues.
You're a friend and a teacher, sounds like.
Absolutely.
That's impressive. You're changing lives every single year, aren't you?
I am.
Really giving back.
I finally figured out what
This is your calling.
It absolutely does.
When you think about wyotech and your time here, who is that? Can you think of that one teacher while you were here that really had a big impact on you?
So the biggest impact that I had was Sid, and I don't remember Sid's last name. He was a mentor to me. And I've talked to Jim Mathis, tried to remember Sid's last name, and I don't remember if he even knew who it was, but that's what's interesting about when I came to wyotech. Jim, we got hired the semester that when I came here, and I watched them unload Jim's toolbox.
Is that right? You could probably tell us all a few stories, huh?
I didn't get them. Of course, there was a lot going on back then,
Sure.
so I didn't get to have a really good relationship with Jim.
You were busy learning about diesel.
I was busy learning about diesel. Yeah. And I had perfect attendance. My grades were average,
But you had perfect attendance while you were here.
I did.
That's impressive. So you were an Eagle Tech, were you?
Well, I don't think they called it Eagle Tech back then. It was just a perfect attendance award, and they gave you a little trophy, and so I still have that to this day.
That's super cool. What was the coolest thing that you've experienced in the industry so far?
The coolest thing is what I'm doing right now.
You mean right here on this podcast?
Well, yeah, on the podcast, absolutely. So there's 2 things. What I get to do with my students every day, and when I was inducted in the Hall of Fame. I got to see one of the nomination letters that was sent. It was pretty flattering. So those are the 2 things that really have been super impactful to me.
I can tell it was quite an honor for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. It's always something to be recognized by your peers, but you know that happens after a lot of hard work. And sometimes you wonder if people recognize it, but I can tell you are very humbled by that opportunity to know your brand and
Absolutely.
And to be a part of what gave you that new beginning. That's pretty special. And then especially now to be working with so many kids. How did you get to 100 kids?
What they do is they bring students sometimes from the high schools to tour. And I'm pretty passionate. You can probably already see the passion. So I interact with them when they even come to visit me. I've got some electrical trainers that we use. And I get these students to interact and create the first wiring circuit. And so I get to interact with them. I don't really know from the other side. It's just an assumption from me as they know that I care about them. And so I don't have a problem really recruiting.
That's super. And I'm sure the reputation has gotten out that you're a great teacher. And
the reputation is now out there. with the skills comp, being the state champion the last 3 years and 4 out of the last 5, industry respects me. I've got a huge advisory board. It's usually somewhere around 30.
Wow.
From the industry to come to my advisory meetings twice a year. And so as far as support, I've got lots of donations given to the program. And, once again, it was just me. It's been me for almost 6 years. And then this past August, we started a new diesel program at LCCA. It's high school. It's focused on the trades, Linear College and Career Academy, and started a diesel program there. And they want that to be a feeder to my program. And the reality of it is I have so many new students coming in right now for this fall. I've already got 43 students coming in.
And when they're in your program, how long is your program?
So the program is, I encourage my students to come for 4 semesters, and that's about 14 months in total time.
Okay.
Because public sector, we've got some time over a month off between beginning of December until beginning of January. So, and then there's a couple weeks in between semesters. So 4 semesters, I encourage them to graduate in 4. They can do it in 3. Matter of fact, I've got my state champion for Georgia this year. She'll graduate in 3 semesters. She'll be the first one.
And when do you go to skills?
June 23rd through the 27th.
Very cool. That's exciting. So what's next? I mean, Hall of Famer, and you've got this amazing program. What are some of the things you do as a hobby? I know you have bird dogs.
I do have a bird dog and a Blackhawk. I really focus my energy on what I do. I live to work. We only have to work 40 hours a week, and I'm usually there 50, 60 hours. I just don't have enough time to get everything done that I need to get done. So I don't really do a whole lot. I spend time in the woods with my dog, and that's about what I do.
Is that right? Hike and...
Yep.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. And, I know you make these great pens.
I do make pens.
I was pretty lucky last night. I hear that I had to give some people grief today. They said, well, I've got one of those. I got one of those a long time ago. And I had to put it in perspective to Sean Nunley. He goes, yeah, I've got 2, Cindy. And I said, yeah, but you've been here 30 years. I said, I've only been here 6 and I've already got one. So tell me more about what got you into this and your hobbies. And
I enjoy, I got my machining degree. I went back to school when I was 39 at Linear Tech and got my machining degree. And I enjoy working with a lathe and milling machine. And I went to a craft show one time and I saw these pens where people were making most of them were turned out of wood. And I thought, well, I could do that.
Yeah, so, these are pretty special. I mean, I've got wyotech colors going on in this. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So I just started making pens. And I sell a few of them, but I give more away than I do sell.
Do you?
Yeah. So it's just
that's pretty special.
Just a hobby that I do.
Thank you for
from
that.
Time to, you're very welcome.
So you got to tell us that one risky thing that you did here at wyotech as we head out. What was that one thing, just kind of off the record, although we are being recorded, that you did?
I spent a lot of time up in Medicine Bow. Funny story. Me and one of my buddies from high school, he took auto collision, Barry Yates, and we roomed together. We came here and we went to the dorms. I don't remember where the dorms
ones
were.
All over the place.
Yeah. They were all over the place. We got there, it looked like Animal House. I mean, party and drinking, back then. And so we decided to rent a house off of Harney, half of a house. And Mike Jack, he was working for the gas company, came and checked the furnace out before we can get turned on in my name. And so the relationship, just from that brief time with Mike, blossomed, and we started spending time with Mike. And we spent a lot of time up in Medicine Bow on the weekends, and him and his buddy Vasquez, and they would collect wood during the summertime and for the winter. And so spent a lot of time doing that.
Lon, that sounds like work.
It was.
That's not risky stuff. That's work.
That's who I am. I just work.
That's great.
So, and I did play hockey for about 41 years, and I played competitively. And then in Georgia, got hooked up in a men's league, and we're playing with a bunch of ex-NHL players and collegiate players, and that was a lot of fun. So I do some shooting now and when I can, and make pens is about all I do.
That's awesome. Well, I got to tell you, we're very proud of you here at wyotech. We're glad you're here today. Very, very thankful for this opportunity to be here with you today and the time that you're taking to be here while we're seeing new ones inducted into the Hall of Fame. So thank you for your example. Thank you for being here today. And let's talk more about wyotech
I appreciate that.
All right. Thanks, Lon.
Thank you.